Greetings, friends and folks. We're filming a little differently for tonight's episode. Derek is working, so I will be attempting to film on my own. So the angles might be a little weird, but I think we've got it. So tonight we are making for dinner chicken meatballs with cheese in the middle. So the first thing you're going to need is a pound of ground chicken. You could use ground beef, ground pork, whatever you like to make meatballs with, but I'm a chicken girl, so that's what I'm using. We're going to do about a half cup of seasoned breadcrumbs as a binder. A little bit of Parmesan. Just a little shaky shake. We're also going to do a couple, well, probably about a teaspoon-ish of garlic, minced garlic. I like to add whatever sauce I'm going to serve meatballs in. I like to add just a little bit of it to kind of incorporate the flavor. So I'm just going to do 2 little spoonfuls of the marinara sauce that I'm using. If you're going to do like barbecue sauce to serve them in or something, I would, go ahead and add a little bit of that. It just helps kind of make all the flavors make sense together. So, that's optional. It doesn't need, a bunch of extra liquid. So, but because we're doing marinara sauce, I want to do Italian seasoning. So again, about a teaspoon, couple shakes, season with salt. So again, probably, maybe a little less than a teaspoon. I don't like things too salty, but you need salt in meat, especially chicken. And then grind up some pepper. So, and then to add to that, we're going to crack an egg. This is something that I always do, is crack it in its own bowl instead of putting it directly into the thing I'm cooking. Because then if you have a shell, or if you get one of those random eggs that looks a little funky, it's not ruining your food. Sometimes it's hard to get a shell out if you dump it in something that's got a lot of texture like the meat does. So then we're going to combine these. Mixing meatballs together, the best tool is your own clean hands. Wash them, then go in, wash them when you're done. It's just, try to use a fork or whatever, it's never going to get in there. But you just want to mix it until it is incorporated, everything's incorporated, and then stop. You don't want to overmix your meat. Don't want to go too ham on it, but you need to get everything kind of mixed together. And then once everything's incorporated, then, which it looks like we're at that point, then you stop. Okay, so your next ingredient is going to be cheese. You're going to, not quite cube it. I mean, you can cube it if you want to, but, you want it about a 1/2 inch little piece like this. I'm using mozzarella because we're doing Italian flavors, but you could use a Colby Jack because it's also very melty. You don't want to use a harder cheese like a cheddar. You could, but it's not going to melt as nicely, and you really want to, cut into it and see it kind of oozy. So that's what the cheese is going to look like. So for this step, to make the meatballs, I use a disher. You can get these at the restaurant supply stores or on Amazon probably. It's like an ice cream scoop, but it comes in a bunch of different sizes. So this one I actually bought for making large cookies. So you could actually use a cookie scoop as well because they're smaller than an ice cream scoop. A traditional ice cream scoop is probably too big of a meatball. But, if that's what you have, feel free to use it and just sort of cook them a little bit longer. The other thing is, you don't need a scoop like this. You just want to make them uniform. So if you're good at eyeballing it, or if you just want to use a regular old spoon to scoop the same amount and then form it into the ball shape, that's great too. But we're going to take a scoop of meat. That sounds appetizing, doesn't it? A scoop of meat like this. And then we're going to take our cheese and just kind of like push it in the middle. And then you can kind of see it exposed there. And then just kind of wrap the meat that's displaced by that. And that's going to give you a meatball, which you'll then roll in some breadcrumbs, seasoned breadcrumbs. You know, you want to add flavor everywhere you can. You know, and it's just going to be very lightly breaded. It's not like a chicken nugget or something. It just kind of helps with the browning a little bit to have something like flour or breadcrumbs on the outside. So I like breadcrumbs because it gives you the opportunity to, again, add more flavor, but you could also use a seasoned flour, you know, cracker meal, whatever kind of flavors kind of work with what you're doing. But since it's Italian, I just use Italian breadcrumbs. The regular one's not the panko. You don't need that much crunch. But, you know, I guess if you like it. Who am I to stop you? I'm just a guy. I just want to add a really quick warning about the cheese. So I cut up half a block, so 4 ounces of cheese. And I've got some of it left over. Because of cross-contamination concerns, any cheese that you have left, that's why you don't want to cut up too much of it, needs to be cooked to at least 165 degrees, the same cooking temperature they need to cook chicken to. So what I often do is just throw it away. But you could also put it in your sauce, let it melt, and then just make sure your sauce gets up to 165. But yeah, don't just snack on the cheese that's left over, because you might get the salmonella. So just a word of caution. Okay, so next you're going to heat a pan with just a little bit of oil on the stove, low medium heat. And you want to make sure it's a pan that has oven safe handle, because we're going to pop it into the oven to finish them off. So you want to get your pan hot, just a little bit of oil, and then just kind of make a ring of these little puppies. So you want them all in the pan. Don't want to overcrowd it, so make sure you get a pan that's big enough to fit all of them. And then just kind of keep an eye on them. When you see them get brown on one side, flip them over. So you can see these ones are a little bit browner than what I intended. This is more the color you want. But yeah, you just want like a golden brown. You don't want a dark brown, but they'll be crunchy, and that's fine with me. So yeah, just flip them over. Okay, so once you've got all your sides brown, we're going to pop them in a preheated 350 degree oven. So I have them in the oven at 350 preheated. I'm probably going to check them in 6 or 7 minutes. You know, they're not huge, so you don't want them to cook too long. But they could take as long as 10, 12, you know, minutes, maybe even 15. So got to make sure that they are cooked through. Don't want to make yourself sick. So the pasta's not ready yet, but these took about 9 minutes. But I want to show you the ooze. Look at that cheese. Yum. Great with pasta. Put it on a sub roll for like a chicken meatball sub. I love these meatballs. I love that cheese inside. So